You said after the Charlotte game that you felt that y'all were really close, right? Just in terms of being where you want to be. What were the points of emphasis this week, or where have they been so far in practice?
Yeah, ball protection for sure because we're turning the ball over too much. Still box outs because that's what the conference is feeling like that they could get ahead of us by attacking the glass and transition defense as well. Because when you give up live ball turnovers, it's hard. Just getting back on defense.
What are, I guess it's a lot. It's broad, obviously, things you said, but what are some things in terms of these turnovers that you've tried? Same.
We've made them think about it more because every time we turn the ball over in practice, it's either Indian run, a 17, or push-ups. So they're being more conscious of what they're doing now. It's just laziness, and I spoke about it today of understanding what we're trying to do because these teams are actually going into the game active hands, being more active because they know we're going to get sloppy with the basketball. We can't do that.
So you kind of up the consequences for turnovers now, like no more ball round.
The ball rack, if it gets filled up, is really bad. But now I'm doing it after every one. So if the ball rack gets filled up, that's the worst. That's the worst running. But
What happens in ball?
that's a lot of running. That's a lot of running for sure. That's a lot of balls to fill that ball rack up. So if you got that many turnovers in practice and we're trying to work on it, that's not good focus. It's about the focus.
Do they fill it up often?
Do they? No, they did one time, and they started complaining because they said it wasn't just because we were doing the guards only. We weren't doing the bigs and the forwards kind of. So we gave them a little grace, but they haven't filled it up since it's been about the guards.
Do you see the turnovers as being a lack of focus, or is it trying to be too creative, like trying to make the extra pass?
The extra pass is fine. It's to me sometimes trying to be a little too creative and just not focused. You got to focus on what you're doing. We teach fundamentals all the time, and it's basically the basics of the fundamentals. 2 hands on the ball before you pass instead of a one-hand pass. You can't bring that pass back. Changing your angle to make it a better pass from a better pass to a great pass. And I don't really like chest passes. Do more overhead passes and 2-to-1 passes. That's what we're working on now.
Help me understand why they're chest passes. That's kind of taught basketball 101 is chest pass, right?
They have bad habits, and we've had bad habits in our team that we're trying to break. And the staff, we're trying to do better on fundamentals.
Coach, to prepare for Wichita State, what's stands out about this building?
Yeah, just what you said. They're scrappy. They're a veteran group. They're tough. They returned a bunch of guys from last year's team that actually have the confidence against us. They beat us in the conference tournament. So it's always a battle with them because they're tough-minded and physicality is their game.
Have you rewatched any part of that game from Fort Worth?
I didn't. I can't do it. I mean, I've watched all their games from this year, but I didn't watch the conference tournament game from last year because it's hard to watch. They did a good job.
You could watch it to like fire yourself up, or you could watch it to I don't know something else. But like they're saying that like it would be worse for you if you watched it.
I wouldn't say worse. I don't need enough. I don't need to watch for them to fire me up. I'm already fired up, right? We were successful against those guys in the regular season, both games. There was probably the best offensive show that I've seen on any team in college basketball. What happened last year in the second half, and here we barely won. Had to hit a game winner, and then obviously we know what happened in the conference tournament. And I'm saying that I might go home and watch the game tonight. Knowing me, I'm just a basketball junkie. I'm just talking right now, but you can learn from everything, and that's what I try to do. You can go back, and it's a similar plays because I remember that they ran against us last year. They're still doing it this year.
You watched all their games, you said?
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. I love basketball, man.
You watched.
I've watched from first game, the tournament in Disney, all the way up until now.
Do you take heart in the fact that this Tigers team seems to be able to bounce back from losses pretty quickly, right? Like last year, we won I think 4 AAC games at first, then lost 4.
Yep.
Then won 3, then lost 3, kind of stacking losses on top of each other. Do you take heart in the fact that, yeah, man, the Temple game was tough, but they fixed those things quickly?
Yeah, for sure. As a coach, that makes you proud. Last year, what happened to us was, man, we couldn't stop that avalanche of negativity that was going on from the injury all the way down, and it just seemed like you knew every game that we were going into it was going to be hard. This year, way different because the guys like each other, and when we make a mistake, or we do something poorly in a game, we come back the next game and we fix it. And I hate that we have to have a loss to get to that level because you want them to stay angry. You want them to stay conscious of what's going on at all times. And then we're trying to build for the NCAA tournament. So a team can't out-hustle us. They can outshoot us, from the perimeter and, do things like that, but they can't out-hustle you. You can't let that happen, and that's what Temple did.
Speaking of hustle and toughness, you mentioned that after the Temple game, y'all worked on, I think, an hour of physicality, an hour of toughness.
Yep.
I forgot the word you
Yep.
used. What does that mean?
Well, that's a lot of box outs. That's a lot of physicality drives where they got to be very physical and put the forearm and chesting and walling up, wall-up jumps, sprints, everything that's possible. Probably about 30 minutes of box outs. That's tough to do because you got to constantly hit, and you hope no one gets injured. But you got to get that in there because in the game, they're not going to feel sorry for us. We got to get that type of practice in at least once a week, twice a week, where it's very physical practices.
How did guys respond to that session? Obviously, they responded well against Charlotte, but overall, what's the response?
No, they responded well. They haven't bucked back or said anything like, man, we'll be okay. We don't have to do this. They understand for us to be champions, it's going to be hard. We can't run away from hard. It's just going to be hard for us for the rest of the year.
How hard is it to, stay angry? And as you put it a second ago, given the schedule, like the fact that your resume is automatically getting worse by just playing these games, unless you've been like 20 or so.
Right.
Like how do you compartmentalize that?
Man, that's very tough because, we spoke about it before. I stay angry because this is my 7th year and we've never won the regular season. And I want to win the regular season, so that motivates me and pushes me. But for the guys who've only been here 8 months from, last June or 9 months, you just have to go one game at a time. And it's so tough because they don't respect our conference, right? We're favored by double digits 95% of our games, and that's unfair. And then when you do win those games, if you don't win them by 20, then you fall in the rankings or you fall in the KenPom. So it's very difficult.
Does it worry you at all that maybe it may get to a point where the guys are like, man, no matter what we do, it's just never good enough?
That could creep in because that's human nature. Because, we work really hard and our non-conference resume should speak for itself, but it's not. They're judging us off what we're doing right now, but they give everyone else, to my understanding, the nod from what they've done in non-conference.
I know, obviously, you hold yourself to a high standard, hold your team to a high standard. Do you personally judge your team for what it's doing right now? Like, do you think what is happening right now is not enough in your eyes?
I try to be the guy that keeps them in the mindset of we haven't done enough and it's going to have to get better every game because we ultimately want to win a championship. We got some things that we have to take care of. We have this laundry list of things that we want to get better at. And until we start scratching those things off and they become a strength, I have to stay on them about those things because you can't win a national championship if you can't guard the ball, you turn the ball over too much, and you can't box out. So I'm going to stay on those things.
Baraka, of course, didn't play against Charlotte. He told Wallow afterwards that you don't really have time for field and things of that nature. Have you received any indication that Baraka was disgruntled or somewhat upset over what happened?
If he wasn't upset or disgruntled, I would be shocked because he's a competitor. He should be. And that's what I love about him. We had a great session. I worked him out yesterday. Like I said, Baraka's going to play again. It's just that game, I went with Dante and PJ, and it worked out. We got up 14, we got up 20. I didn't want to disrupt that, right? If I disrupt that and then we just have a bad moment and that team comes back and beat us, it was like, well, you had it going with Dante, PJ, and Dane. And I just stayed with that mix in that game.
Coach, how do you feel about the freshman and the true freshman, Jared Anderson? He's really trying, right? We work with him a lot on watching film and work with him in the game. It's just freshmen struggle. Some freshmen come in and they play even though they struggle, and some freshmen come in and they never touch the floor, but they're learning and getting better every day. Hindsight, I wish we could have redshirted him to give him that extra year to just kind of get the understanding and the physicality of this league because he's going to be a really good player. But behind the scenes, he's growing. He needs to play. And it's just right now, he's not better than the guys that are playing right now, but he's growing and getting better because he's watching film and doing better in practice.
There's a lot of talk amongst the fan base and even the media about what Dane's doing, right? The past 3, 4, 5 games off the bench. Do you you see any shakeup in the starting lineup or rotation with involving him more or starting him or anything like that?
I'm not going to never say never because Dane is a starter. You've seen a couple games in the last 4 or 5. I've started him in the second half. So it's not out of the question by him starting. You know, we've already talked to Musa about it weeks ago that it could possibly happen. Musa's fine, man. He's comfortable in his own skin. I just have stayed with the rhythm because we've been winning. You know, we have lost a couple games, but Dane definitely does a great job because he can score. We're just asking him to run the floor better, rebound better, and rim protect better. And that's what Musa does. He runs the floor better, and he rebounds, and he blocks shots. So we started with a defensive mindset. That's how Musa kind of got in there when we were going to Hawaii. And Dane is doing a phenomenal job because he can really, to me, he's the best scoring big in the country when he gets that ball. Great feet down there.
You get into the conference coaching, it's clear, I mean, you've said it numerous times, you can't play PJ and Tyrese and those guys 37 or 38 in that game. It seems clear you kind of expanded your rotation a little bit to other players. Who would you say is kind of stepping in that role? I know bringing Dante in. Is Dante the guy you're looking at? Is PJ?
Yeah, I think Dante has shown that, you know, he's a leader, that he changes the tempo on offense by pushing the ball up the floor, and he has great vision, and then he's our best on-ball defender. So that helps us rest PJ and keep him on the bench for at least 7 more minutes. Instead of it being 38, it'll be 31, maybe 30. That's great. And, you know, Baraka is still going to come on. We haven't played Baraka and Dante in there a lot. It's kind of been one or the other. But we'll have to start doing that some games as well, just to try to rest those guys more.
Are you feeling more comfortable with your bench depth at this point? Like,
I am, because I know what they're going to bring to the table now. PJ Carter's stretching the defense out. Dante and Baraka are defenders and energy. And Dane is, like I said, arguably the best scoring big on the block in the country. So we got 9 guys right there. If you can get one more, that would be great, because we need the guys to have fresh legs.